Let's get back to the basics with 3-yard quilts. Let me show you what I mean. Hi, it's Donna Robertson with Fabric Café. Today I'm going to show you the easy piecing strategies from my new book, Make It Easy with 3-Yard Quilts. I'm going to share tips for success, and I'm going to give you some extra images and fabric inspiration. This quilt is called Frolic, and it's going to be one of the examples that we use to give you the building blocks that will make every one of these quilts in the Make It Easy with 3-Yard Quilts so easy that you're going to be soaring with enthusiasm on this book. So let's put it on the table and talk about it. Now, there are certain key strategies that we use to make our patterns super easy to do. And if you've made our patterns before, you'll know what those are, but I'd like to cover them as a little refresher for you and for anybody that's new watching our YouTube. The number one strategy we do is called strip piecing. And we use strip piecing over and over again because it makes it so quick and easy and fast to put a block together. Now, in every pattern, we're going to give you illustrations, and you'll see strip assembly A, strip assembly B, that will go through and explain to you how to create that strip assembly. Now, we're going to show you here. First of all, you cut the width of the fabric. Occasionally, we might have you do a partial strip assembly. That just means we're only going to be using part of that strip. But we're going to use long pieces of fabric like this. And we have more long pieces of fabric that we're going to sew together. And we do that just like the illustration shows. Fabric 1 with fabric 3 on each side. So it looks like so. Now let's show you that all finished out. Let me put this over here. And then we're going to show you the strip assembly once we've sewn it together. So we have the long strip assembly all sewn together. We then tell you to cut units off of the side of that strip assembly. A unit is the basic beginning of the quilt or some other unit that is sewn to it, because sometimes a block will have multiple strip assemblies, and then those strip assemblies are cut into units and sewn together to make the block. It is one of the basics of our 3-yard quilts, and it makes it super easy. So you have the unit. In this case, we are going to sew a long strip on each side. So we put one on this side, we will put another one on this side, we'll cut it off so that it's even, and you will have this block. So there's the finished block. So you have your unit in the middle with the sides sewn on. Voila, super, super easy to do. Now, once you learn to do the strip piecing, you're going to see that you breeze through most of our quilts. This particular fabric is our number 1 in this kit. It's going to go here in the center and on the side. It is a beautiful fabric. It's one that you almost feel like you're looking at a piece of art. It is so pretty. And it looks like it's a watercolor too. Now, the number 2 fabric has the little watercolor flowers, and as I tell you often, you don't want a boring number 2. You want something that is interesting to look at. So we have our number 2 here, and our number 3 fabric is the darkest of the 2 remaining, and that is going to frame as well as work in this block as well. Now, this one is called Peaceful Petals. It's the Frolic pattern from the Make It Easy book, and the kit is available at Fabric Café. Now, this quilt is called Elemental, and I mentioned a little earlier that sometimes when we make blocks, we will use the strip piecing and actually do multiple strip pieces that are then sewn together. And we're going to show you how to make this particular block, and that's what we've done here. So let's put it on the table and talk about it. So on the first quilt that I showed you, we made the block, and I showed you how easy it was to do the strip piecing. This block is made identical to that, just different measurements, and that is going to be something that you'll see throughout the book. Even if we use a similar type block, it may not have the same measurements for that strip assembly, so be sure to pay attention to that. So we're going to show you how to make this block, which is then taking it a step further. So the first basic block, and then we've got a second one where you actually actually make strip assemblies, multiples, and put them together so that you come up with the block. So let me show you how to do that. So first of all, we're going to do that same strip assembly as I showed you before, using the measurements in the pattern so that you create a strip assembly like this. And then you're going to cut off the unit. Now this unit is going to be the center of this block, like so. Then you do another strip assembly. Now this strip assembly is using 2 of the fabrics, and one of the things I want to mention that makes this block so interesting is I've used all 3 fabrics in this one block. So we make a strip assembly here, and then we cut our unit off of the side just like so, and these are going to be sewn to this here. Now I'm going to slide this under so that you can actually see the block. So we're actually doing just like that to make this block. So it is also super easy, but it is just using 2 different kinds of strip assemblies to make one block. And that is one of the basic strategies that we use in our 3-yard quilt patterns to make them go fast and easy. Once you learn these techniques, you can do every one of the quilts in the book. So let's look at the fabric. This is a wonderful batik. It has this great floral that's going to be the center of this block, as well as the part of the piecing that we did here in the strip assembly. The number 2 fabric is this yellow and green. I love that combination. It's just so bright and cheery. And you're going to have it in the border as well as part of this strip assembly. This is the number 3. You're going to be using it in this strip assembly as well as on the outside edge of this block and in the borders. So once you've learned the strip assembly strategy for making our blocks, it will be very easy for you to make every one of the quilts in this book. Now, the information on this particular quilt is Sunny Batiks. Elemental is the name of the pattern, and it's in the book, Make It Easy with 3-Yard Quilts. Now, this quilt is called Diversion. And the interesting thing about this quilt is, in order to get the movement in the quilt, I chose to put 3 different blocks. So we have a simple block here. It's just a square of fabric. And then we've made a bordered block here, as well as a bordered 4-patch. So let's put that on the table and talk about it. Now, I keep talking about those little strategies that we have with 3-yard quilts with the strip piecing, and you've already learned how to do a bordered block, different measurements in this one, but it's still a bordered block. You've learned how to do the strip piecing, where is what the center of this particular block is, and then a bordered block like this is the same thing as the bordered block if you strip pieced and sewn those together to make a unit in the middle. So all of those steps just kind of keep building on themselves as you go through this. This one is gorgeous. It has this beautiful spiral fabrics that are going to be in the number 1. Super simple, a simple block. And then we have our number 2 fabric. You always compare the 2 and 3. Take the lightest for your number 2 and your darkest for your number 3. Let's get the kit information for this one. It is called Spirograph. It's the Diversion pattern from Make It Easy with 3-Yard Quilts. Any 3 yards will work with any of our patterns. You just need the focus, a light, and a dark. Now this fabric is absolutely adorable. It's these cute little sloths, and that would be perfect for a baby gift. Or I was laughing and saying it would be perfect for my sister who just went to Panama on vacation, and she actually got to see a sloth in the wild, and she took pictures and sent it to me. So the sloths are going to go in the number 1 position here, and then you have your number 2 fabric will go in the center of this and in this block as well as out on the border. Your number 3 fabric, and is this just not as cute as it can be, this is going to be your number 3 fabric here and here and here. Now let's look at an image of this quilt. Is this not precious? It is just so cute. And you know, these quilts make up so quickly, it would be a perfect gift if you find out at the last minute you need a baby quilt. So this one is called Hanging Around. It's the Diversion pattern from the Make It Easy with 3-yard quilts. Now this pattern is called Levity, and levity means lighthearted. And one of the things that I thought whenever I was designing this is you'll be really lighthearted to know this is a 1-block quilt. You're going to make 1 block over and over and over again, and then you just twist and turn them, and you have this gorgeous pattern that looks like these are kind of floating above the other 2. So let's put it on the table and talk about it. Let me show you how easy this block is to make. And it looks like this. We are going to start with a rectangle like this. Then we're going to use our building technique that we've been talking about, strip piecing, and we're going to add a strip on the strip piece unit on this side. The same unit is just turned and it goes here. And if you look at it all together, this is the super simple, easy block that is going to make this dynamic quilt. You make 1 block over and over again, put it together, and you've got this design. That's the way building blocks work. So let's look at this fabric. This is the number 1 fabric. It's going to go in the center of each one of these blocks. The number 2 and 3 fabric are going to be making this unit on the side and also be in the borders. So number 3 here is this great teal. Love that. This one is called Soothing Circles, and it's the Levity pattern from the Make It Easy with 3-yard quilts. Now this is some beautiful fabric here, and because you can use any of the 3 1-yard cuts of fabric in any one of our patterns, that is just a plus all the way around. This particular one, you really do need that strong contrast in order to see the design of the pattern. So we're going to put our floral right here in the center, and then we're going to do our strip piecing with the number 2 and the number 3. And these are such pretty textural fabrics. It's going to be great. Still holds your interest. Let's look at the image on the screen. This one shows you how that high contrast in the background really does cause your floral to kind of float on the surface of the quilt. So that is the trick whenever you're doing a pattern like this, is to get that high contrast whenever you're doing layers of color. This one is called Garden Painting. It is the Levity pattern from the Make It Easy with 3-yard quilts. This pattern is called Panache, and I just thought it had a certain little elegance about it whenever I designed it. I really, really like it. And it is using those same easy strip piecing methods. Now let's put it on the table and talk about this pattern. Now in this particular quilt, we're going to use those same easy strip piecing methods that we've been showing you. We use them over and over and over again with all of our patterns because it does make it go so fast. Now in this particular one, you're going to be using a strip piece right here in the center. So here's your strip piece right here. On this one, we're going to be putting the strip pieced item on the side. The unit goes here and here. So it's still using the same basic technique, but we're switching the areas in which it might show up. Now this fabric is awesome. You're going to put this in the number 1, that's your focus. And this one is great for a double focus because you do have the number 1 and 2 separated with the darker color. It makes it great for being able to have 2 focus fabrics. Now one thing to keep in mind when you're doing the 2 different focus fabrics is that you want to maybe have the size difference or the color difference. These colors are basically the same. In order to tell that there's 2 different fabrics here, we have the size different here than here. So it's just a little trick for picking out double focus fabrics. So this is the number 2 fabric, and then the number 3 is your separator, and it actually becomes that which might be called the resting spot because this is so busy. Your eyes are seeking a place to have a little rest. It happens so fast you don't even know you're doing it. Now this one is called Mediterranea. It's the Panache pattern from the Make It Easy with 3-yard quilts. Now keep in mind that these kits are all available at fabriccafe.com, but our quantities are limited. Now who doesn't love blue quilts? This is so pretty. And the number 1 fabric is this great floral design, kind of a stylized floral. And it's going to go in the number 1 spot. Then remember I talked about how when you're using a double focus, which this number 2 is definitely another double focus. It's got a lot going on. It's going to be that extra attention getter for this particular quilt. And it is a different size, so that's one point about picking out a double focus. The other is it's a different color. So it's going to look great in this number 2 position. And then the number 3 position is this blue, and it's going to go here. Now these are really beautiful fabrics, and they would make a wonderful gift, like maybe a wedding gift. But if you're giving a wedding gift, you might not want to just make a lap quilt. You might want to make a king queen. That would be a really wonderful gift. And we do have the instructions for every one of our patterns written in the lap for 1 kit. 2 kits would make a twin, 4 kits will make a king queen. So do keep that in mind whenever you're picking out which one of these quilts you're going to buy and whether or not you want to make it into a larger size. Now let's look at this gorgeous fabric in an image. So the image will show you what I meant by having 2 focus fabrics. Your eye is going to go and check out that second busy fabric, but it's going to be separated by the darker blue, but you can see what a gorgeous, gorgeous quilt this would be, and it would be awesome in a king queen, I must say. This one is called Blue Porcelain. It's the Panache pattern from Make It Easy with 3 yard quilts. I'm loving every one of the quilts in our new book, Make It Easy with 3 yard quilts. I think the quilts will work for any occasion that you might have. And remember the building blocks that we shared in the beginning of this video. It will help you master every one of the patterns in this book. And if you'd like to see all of the patterns in this book, watch the video that pops up. It's Donna Robertson with Fabric Café. Thanks for joining us.